So the opening weekend for Shelby Oaks has passed, and I think that the bulk of the people who are going to see it, like the highest concentration, has already happened. So now it's Monday, and I feel that it's time for a spoiler review. So here we go. Like the opening, I don't know what, 10, 15 minutes or something like that, when it was really going into like the found footage and kind of like the documentary style and stuff. I thought that that was all really good. It was really good at kind of like drawing you into the movie. The problem is that, like, right after that, lickety split, the dude shows up at the door and blows his head off, and he's got that freaking tape, the second tape that the second tape that she pops in, and she gets more detail as to what happened to her sister. The problem is it was so abrupt. Like, don't get me wrong, I am so happy that this was an hour and 31 minutes long. I mean, like, I wish that more filmmakers would do that, frankly. It was a nice tight runtime. However, I will say that it would have been good to take like 5 extra minutes to like kind of world build a little bit, like specifically with the characters, like 5 minutes of just getting to know her and her situation. I mean, I know that you do like during all the found footage shit, but again, it's kind of like it's really into it, and then like immediately after this thing just happens and boom, I just feel like a beat should have been taken there and it wasn't. Maybe done something more with the husband, who, as I said in the previous video, apart from the fact that the dude wasn't a terrific actor, that character was really worthless. He was like a prop kind of in the movie to just further insinuate how the disappearance of Mia's sister has affected her, which can be good, but it just felt kind of shoehorned a little bit. All right, there's a couple scenes in the beginning that are they're edited kind of weird. They seem to kind of like jump. That's really only in the very beginning, though. One thing that really confused the hell out of me was the ending, and I know a lot of people like full blown like hated the ending. I don't know exactly why. I don't know if it was for the same reasons, but essentially, this symbol that people, again, the people were like saying like, oh, it's derivative of so many other things that exist. It's like, yes, that he clearly took influence from other things, yes, but I think people are being very unfair to this movie, and that like there's nothing original about it, and it's like, it's like it has its own vibe, yes, but here and there, yes, it does take certain ideas from other horror films. Anyhow, this symbol, the whole idea is that Mia's sister has been captive for the last 12 years. And she's basically like a birthing vessel for an incubus demon. All right. And they show things, I mean, to indicate that she's had like multiple pregnancies, possibly miscarriages. I mean, they're not really clear about it. You do see blood, but I mean, again, it could just be a regular pregnancy. And there's all these these things mark the graves of all the babies. So in that moment, I felt that that was meant to mean that these babies, she was a birthing apparatus basically for babies for ritual sacrifice. That's how I interpreted it. Okay. The end, however, kind of turns that on its head, because the little sister, I forget her name again, but uh, the baby that she last gave birth to, like, she tries to smother it with a pillow, and Mia tries to stop her, and she falls out a window. And then the hellhounds come out and just start tearing her apart. And then, like, the incubus is standing behind Mia as though it was passed on to her somehow. But it's sort of like, again, if there were all these like baby sacrifices, and again, that's the vibe that it gave off, like, why would the incubus have done that to her? Why would the hellhounds have killed her? Because if she was going to smother the baby with the pillow, wouldn't that have been another sacrifice? Or I think that maybe what they were trying to say is that she was a bad vessel, like this incubus was looking for an heir, and she kept on having miscarriages, so they just decided to kind of shit can her at the last second and like pass it on to her sister. It just really wasn't clear, and it felt like the ending and that part were saying something very much different from one another. Again, this movie is an hour and a half long, and it's not bad. Okay, I mean, like in terms of like sitting down and watching it, you don't feel like you're going through a slog. Some people seem to think so, but I was really intrigued the whole time because directing wise, Chris Stuckman was really good. He was really good with, having jump scares, but they were limited, setting up for what could have been a jump scare, but not quite delivering. He has that James Wan-esque, like, ability to sort of pick and choose like what he's going to do so that you're consistently guessing the whole time. And the overall atmosphere, even just like the lighting and stuff, it has this consistent feeling of dread. Directing wise, this film was actually quite good, in my opinion. The problem has more to do with like the narrative and the storytelling. And even then, it's not terrible. Like it's an entertaining movie. I'm definitely going to watch it again. And if I hadn't been a backer on this project, like I would still shit. Even if I didn't know who Chris Stuckman was, I'm not saying that I'd like run out to see it again, but if I ever like caught it on, or if I saw it, I'm like, oh shit, Shelby Oaks is on Peacock or whatever. Like, yeah, I'd absolutely watch it 100%. The problem is really more in the writing and perhaps the editing a little bit. I know that Mike Flanagan went in there to kind of help Chris with like the editing process, maybe to like tighten it up a little bit or something like that, and that sort of shows because Chris Stuckman even did speak to scenes that he didn't want to let go, but he realized for the sake of again keeping a tight runtime and pacing that he had to. So I am actually quite curious to know what those scenes were, what they entailed, because maybe it had that little bit of detail that I feel that the film was lacking a little bit. So it would be really cool if Chris Stuckman released a director's cut. We'll see. Hell, maybe it'll be a bonus feature on the Blu-ray or something like that. Can't wait for that to come. But yeah, no, like absolutely. Whether you love the movie or hated it, I think that a lot of people are being very unfair in how much vitriol they're putting towards it. And not for nothing, there's plenty of people who liked it just fine. It's 59% on Rotten Tomatoes is it's like 1 point away from being fresh. It's still the majority like think that it's at least decent. I hope that he makes enough money back that he can work on another project where he'll have, he can hire a writer that makes it a little bit, whatever his next project is, makes it a little bit more coherent. Again, I'm not sure if that had to do with the editing process, though. I'm very interested to see what was taken out of the film. But at any rate, Shelby Oaks, it's a nice tight runtime. It was vastly scarier than I thought that it would be. But the whole thing with the incubus, I don't know what the incubus's motivation is through the whole thing. I don't understand and maybe I missed something. If you guys have seen Shelby Oaks, please comment below and feel free to, heckle me about this. Like, was there something that I missed? Was there a detail that kind of made it a bit clearer what it was trying to do? Because again, the ending kind of, to me, clashed a little bit with the rest of the film, wherein I'm not. I mean, I suppose you could presume that she was supposed to be a vessel for the air for the incubus, and she just kept having these miscarriages. If that were the case, I kind of wish that was explained. It would have made it a little bit better. But yeah, guys. I mean, Shelby Oaks. Look, it is so cool that Chris Stuckman did this. It really is. I'm so happy for him, and as a director, he is good. It's sort of like, maybe writing just isn't his forte, which is not a dig at him by any stretch of the imagination, because the opposite could easily be said about Stephen King. Brilliant writer, horrible, horrible director.
This machine just called me an asshole.
So yeah, if you guys haven't seen it, I would recommend checking it out. Keep the expectations a little bit on the lower side. And like I said, you'll come out either not surprised or maybe even thinking that it was a little bit better, a little bit scarier than you thought that it was going to be. So I really hope that he keeps at it. Any constructive criticism that people put out there, I hope he takes it and kind of uses it for the next project. I hope he has enough money to maybe like get a writer or something like that. And then everything else, the ball is in his court, should be great, because again, the man is very good for a first time project, on a Kickstarter budget, for him to be able to build atmosphere that way, and to have such a creepy vibe and good choices in terms of like scares and where he put them. Like the dude is clearly a brilliant filmmaker. He just needs to a little polishing is all. But anyways, guys, did you see Shelby Oaks? Well, I hope you saw Shelby Oaks because it's a friggin' spoiler review. But let me know what you thought about it. And if you have any theories about the whole Incubus thing or whatnot, let me know below. And if you like this video, please consider subscribing. Thank you for watching. And that's all she wrote.